Yeah, so I'd say when we first started using Asana, so when I came on board, it was really helpful, but it was very task focused. So yeah, we were having all of our tasks kind of in there and in one place, um, but the way we had it organized wasn't super helpful. So everything was organized basically into like one project. So every single project that we did was organized under one project within Asana. So it got really hard to kind of see the whole picture. Um, and then I think just our priorities changed and our needs changed. So just the more we got into kind of more strategic conversations and being a part of how we grow our organization within our department, I think then it just became more and more necessary for us to just be able to use it at a higher level instead of just like, okay, what are the literal step by step things I need to do every day? That's still super helpful, but we needed more out of it than that. Well, what's awesome is basically every single one of the tasks that I do have. What I'm able to do is kind of look into Asana and look at other tasks that are happening or higher level priorities that are happening, so that I can kind of use our main focuses for the year or our main focuses for that period of time to drive the other smaller projects that we're doing. So, for example, every month we update the lobby monitors that are in our branches. So, for me, when I'm writing them, I can go into one of our projects and look at, okay, what are our campaigns that we have that are going on right now. I can see like, okay, we're on the business side, we just launched this new product. Is that, that's something that can drive the discussion about, what are we going to put on these lobby monitors? So that way we can always make sure that all of our small campaigns from a single social media post all the way up to actually running the full campaign actually aligns with what our goals are at that specific time. That's kind of been mapped out for the year. Well, I think it's gotten me out of the weeds. So while it still allows me to track kind of my day to day, but it still allows me to see things at a higher level. So I'm not just looking at what I'm doing. I'm also looking at, okay, what's our workload capacity across the board? How much work do we currently have that we've put on our agency, and how can we like, are there things that they're doing right now that we can take over, or are there deadlines that we can move around based on X, Y, and Z that are priorities this week, and are making it so that we don't have as much time to work on some of these other projects. So I think that's a piece of it. And then again, just having the ability to really easily look at the higher level picture for us to make decisions on on how we're going to handle smaller campaigns that we're running. It allows us to kind of keep track of those things. It also is helping me. One of the things that I started doing is just tracking. We've had a really big push for us to have a stronger plan in place for how we're going to educate our customers about cybersecurity. So with that, knowing that's a priority, I was able to kind of look out at the future and say, like, okay, if we want to have one business email and one consumer focused email per month focused on cybersecurity, I can now plan that out, and I can have that where we can now, like, I created that as a custom field. So that way we're able to, at the end of the year, go back and say, look, these are all of the things that we did that were related to cybersecurity and educating our customers about cybersecurity. So if we're asked that question, we can really easily go back and see that. So kind of it's helping me find ways where, like, okay, this thing is a priority. How can we now track and measure that and make sure that we're doing it, versus just like us knowing it's this back end priority and it's not high on our list because it's not driving any specific goal. It's just something that we know we have to do. Now it just keeps it in front of us, and it keeps us with the ability to actually put action items under it. using, say, task templates, for example, means that we're spending less time each time we have one of these new tasks actually type, okay, this is my task that I know okay, next, what do we do? Okay, well, next we do this. Well, we have the task templates built. So it's just like that we're able to get those in there. And we're spending less time. I know this is something that we talked about a lot in the beginning, is just like, we're doing less time where we're doing work about work. We're just doing and not, talking about doing and thinking about doing. It's just, we're able to get in and say, like, we know that when we have a new customer spotlight, that these are all the steps that we need to take. And we don't need to, sometimes there's going to be some little changes and we can go in and just tweak those one off, but we've got the bulk of it just built already. And that just means we're spending less time doing stuff that we don't need to be doing. I go back to especially the workload piece is, I think that's something that's hard to set up in the beginning. So you're like, man, how long does it take me to write a blog? Well, I mean, it varies. Um, and sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for work that we're doing on it, that we're really doing, that's not literally sitting down and typing things out. Okay, I'm a bit like, I love checking boxes, which is really fun. I'm not like a detail person. So for me, this is the dumbest thing. But just the little like celebration type things that they built into it, so that when you do accomplish something, it like celebrates that for you. Um, so I think that's to me, it's just like, it's one of those little, like, I love seeing the little like buttons every time I click like on something, or I complete a task and you've got the Norwal running across the screen. It's just one of those, it's just like, I think they even call it like just a little delight that just adds a little like, all right, I did get something. I did get that done. I think in all seriousness though, I think task templates are hugely, hugely helpful. I really like, we recently just started using kind of the approval versus task and milestone, and differentiating between the types of tasks. And I think that allows us you know, to feel a little less overwhelmed by a task list when, it just takes a few out of the things that are actual tasks. So that way, when you group them together, for example, we've just started recently, like, creating an email is like 5 steps. You've got writing the copy, designing it, you have getting the customer list, sending it to, there's all those little steps and you have to do all of them. So when you have just that one final piece, that's just like, is the email done? And that's not a task. It's not something that's like burning on your, like, where that's taking up, where you feel like that is another thing that's taking up time. That's just you being able to say, like, all of that's done. So I think categorizing them that way. And then I just think the work, being able to visualize the workflow. So it's one thing to go in and look at the individual rules and see, like, okay, this is driving this and this is driving this, but like being able to visualize the workflow as a whole, I really like to, because then when I do need to make a change, it makes it a lot easier to go in and make a change to any of the rules, as, hey, this thing that we thought we needed, we don't need it to do that anymore. Or this thing, how it's functioning over here, we want it to do that in this too. And just to be able to see, this is how that functions. This is how that was made to happen. And now I can replicate that somewhere else.